Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Beyond the Sun, a 2020 release from Rio Grande Games. It plays 2 to 4 players in 1 to 2 hours. It's a civilization game utilizing a worker placement mechanic. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. Here's our rulebook here. This is a fairly dense game. It's pretty straightforward. It has a lot of iconography, which can be both good and bad. Here we have our cardboard and our main board in the back here. Let's go and take a look at that first. So this is the technology board. And as you can see, it is rather large. We have these spots over here, which are our starting worker placement spots. Anytime you see this hexagon symbol, that's a worker placement spot. So we got several of those already printed on the board. And then we have these locations here for different technologies. The level 1 technologies are going to start out on the board, but the level 2, 3, and 4 technologies will have to be discovered throughout the course of the game. You also see these little orange numbers here. Those are victory points. So you're going to score victory points at the end of the game just for having researched technologies. 3 points for every level 3 technology, 2 for every 2, and 1 for every 1. So just researching technologies gets you points for the end of the game, as well as whatever those technologies give you. So let's go back to our cardboard here. Let's see what we got. Here's sort of our spacefaring board here, double-sided. So these are different locations that you can go out and control. All players will start in Seoul with a ship, a level 1 ship, but then you can go out from Seoul following these little guideline paths here and explore planets, the A planets here, which obviously come from a random deck, as well as 2B planets, and also a couple planets that are printed on the board themselves. The reason you want to do this, especially with these planets here, is that they give you additional production, which you see on these icons here if you control them. And then these cards you can actually gain into your tableau for additional abilities, resources, but also victory points. We got a couple little cheat sheets here, and they come in cardboard, which is nice instead of just being paper or cardstock. Because this game is a little bit denser than some, it's nice to have these little cheat sheets here that go through your turn phase, all the different steps to the different actions you can take on the board, on the game. And then at the back here, everything you can score with for points, which as you can see is quite a lot. Several different things you can do. And ultimately, the person with the most points is going to win. So you want to know what you should be aiming for there. And that's a nice little addition there. So these two here at the top, or just say this one at the top and this one at the side here of these punchboard, that's for that variant that we saw earlier. And so I don't know much about that. We got a first player token here. And then we've got these boards here, which will replace the main board spot if you're playing with less than 4 players. So if you're playing with 3, you'll use this one, and for 2, you'll use this one. And that just changes the number of worker spots available for the different activations. And then you've got these boards here, which again change the spots printed on the main board. And here we've got extra bags, which we always like to see. These are essentially your worker pawns. This is what you'll be using to take actions. So again, we mentioned that anything with that little hexagon shape is something where you can take an action, and that's because your little action tokens are this hexagon shape. So pretty easy to remember there. Here are our player boards for the different factions, and there are quite a few, as you can see. More than enough to have a little bit of selection there. And these boards are, I believe, double-sided. Oh, so they aren't double-sided. What they are there are two sets of them. So you can see that the colors repeat here: blue, purple, green, and red. There's an advanced and a basic set of these boards. So whenever you start playing, you're going to have to decide if everybody's playing on the basic side or the advanced side. The advanced side is going to obviously make things different between each faction, whereas the basic side is going to all be the same. But you can see that these are recessed just to hold on to your little pieces there. All right, here are our player pieces. So there's a couple different things here. We have dice, but not dice because you never roll them. These are essentially the different resources you can have in the game, and whenever you change those resources, you'll flip the side of them. So this is a supply. When you start the game, these supply dice are going to fill up all of these spots on your board. And then you'll pull them off during the course of the game to either turn them into population, or you can turn them into starships, or you can turn them into resources. And then here we have a whole bunch of discs. So again, if you look at the player board at the bottom here, you'll see what these discs are used for. You have some of them which represent population or harvesting, and then you have some of them that represent industry. And then finally, you have a few extra which you use for either achievements or if you run out of these for any reason. So these will cover up all these slots. And then as you unlock abilities that either give you production or industry, you'll remove these from the board, freeing up spots which could potentially give you extra resources or allow you to turn more supply into population. We got a bag here just of basic resources. Aside from population and military power, the primary resource in the game is this ore, and you got little gems representing them. And then finally we have the cards. And there are going to be several different types of cards in here, obviously. So first here we have technology cards. And on the back here, it's going to tell us what level technology they are. So this is a level 1 technology, and there should be 4 of those. You can also see them on the bottom left. It shows what level they are. So these 4 starting technologies are always going to be the 4 starting technologies. They never change. They may change where they are on the board, which one of the 4 spots they take up. Technologies have a type, which is the color. So blue, red, green, or yellow. And I don't know them off the top of my head, but they do have different uses. The blue, I believe, is technology, and that tends to focus on resource generation, I believe, whereas the red is military, and it has more focus on shipbuilding and things like that. So at the start of the game, you won't know any of these technologies. They'll be on the board, but you, as the player, won't have access to any of them. You can take an action, one of the actions printed on the main board, which we can actually see here, to turn one of your population into essentially a scientist assigned to one of the 4 level 1 technologies. And when you do that, you'll take one of your dice showing one of your people and put it on the board here, right? So, and then you'll have access to whatever technology is listed there. Some technologies just give you an immediate bonus. For instance, this one, you automatically remove one of your harvesting discs and you turn 1 supply into a population. That's all you get for learning this technology. it has no subsequent use. Some of them, however, they have an immediate ability, but they also give you a new location to go to. So this one, for instance, you can put your pawn on. It allows you, if you pay 1 ore, you can turn one of your population into a level 2 ship, and then jump 3, which is essentially just moving a ship 3 spaces. And here are the other 2 starting technologies. So as I said, these will be on the board like so, and then eventually you'll discover higher level technologies. So here are some level 2 technologies, just to give you some examples. And then we have level 3s. And then finally, level 4s. Now, only the level 1 technologies will be on the board at the beginning of the game. The rest of the locations will be covered up by these event cards, like so. So you'll shuffle these and put out 1 level 3 event card in every spot where there would be a level 3 technology, and 1 level 2 event card in every spot where there'd be a level 2 technology. Essentially, the way this works is you have to research a technology. So say blue researched this technology. This unlocks this technology over here. So on a subsequent turn, blue could research a level 2 technology and go here. Instead of actually getting the technology, the first thing he'll do is he'll resolve whatever event card is on the board. So they'll draw that card, flip it over, they gain 1 ore, and then it says, choose and remove a tier 1 guild cover tile below the spacefaring box. Each faction can now access the uncovered guild action. So a bonus for the person who flipped over this event card, but also an upgraded ability now available to the board for all players. Now that this spot is revealed, there's no event card there, you can put a new technology there, a level 2 technology. And the way that works is find the level 2 technologies, and the player who unlocked it, in this case, the blue player, will first determine what color that technology has to be. Well, it's come from this technology straight ahead, so it has to be a yellow technology. So then they'll draw cards from the top of the technology deck until they find 2 cards that have the yellow symbol on it. So in this case, the first 2 would be the choice that the blue player has. They can choose either one of these. So they'll take a look at them and decide, hey, you know what? I want that technology, and put it there. And then you'll shuffle the remainder back into the deck. And that's how you unlock technologies throughout the course of the game. The other cards we have here, we have achievement cards. So there'll be 4 achievement cards out every game. You'll just shuffle and select. And this is not only a way to score extra points. This one, you'll be the first to research a level 4 technology. You'll score 4 points if you're the first person to do it, and then fewer as it goes on. This is also the end game trigger. So once all 4 achievements have a disc on them, that will trigger the end of the game. And then every player will have 1 more turn. And then the final set of cards we have here are the planet cards. And these are A's and B's. The B's are typically a little bit more difficult. So these planet cards have a couple different things on them. One is if you have the most military strength there, military being the spaceships, you get to put one of your discs on it, in this case a harvest disc, and that of course will increase that population track. And then you can also colonize it if there's a colonization symbol, which this one does have. And for 4 strength, you'll be able to gain this card and put it in front of you for the rest of the game. It's not only worth points, but it also gives you some bonus there. And that's it. That's everything you get in a copy of Beyond the Sun from Rio Grande Games.